Parkcast, the UK's original theme park podcast.
Welcome back to Parkcast Park Fans. We are a podcast for theme park fans. We're here every week. You know that by now, unless you're new here. And if you are, welcome. If you're a theme park fan, I think you are going to love this. I'm Bex. This is Kev.
Hi, everyone.
And this week, I wanted to talk about listing historical theme park rides and attractions. We're into closed season now, so this is the time of year when theme park enthusiasts start getting wild ideas about things because we have nothing better to do. We start thinking crazy things. And the topic of theme park rides being listed or not comes up quite a lot. It's quite a contentious issue sometimes amongst enthusiasts, and some people feel very strongly about it. So I've got to contribute to this conversation a legend within the UK theme park industry, Andy Hine from the Rollercoaster Club of Great Britain. Welcome to Parkcast.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone.
You've been here before, but you're back. I honestly thought that there's no one better to talk about this because just the amount of time that you've given to the UK theme park industry. I just know that you'll have had experience of this from both sides. So I think it's going to be really interesting to get your thoughts on this. And obviously, as you're listening to this, if you have any thoughts, as always, my inbox is always open. So drop us a message and let us know what you think. So listing theme park rides and attractions. We're all enthusiasts. We all want theme parks to do well and survive for as long as possible. But does there come a point where we take it too far and we're too passionate about attractions? Andy, obviously you've set up the Rollercoaster Club, and I remember years and years and years ago on a documentary there was a member of the club at the time, and I don't know if he still is, and he was a vicar, and he said on that documentary that one of the aims of the club was to preserve historical rides and attractions. Number one, is he still in the club? Because he was an absolute legend. And number two, what's your kind of take on that in 2025?
In answer to the first question, he's not a member anymore.
Is he still a vicar?
Yeah, but I think he's emigrated to South America or something. To spread the word. Yeah.
Nice.
That's
not
nice.
The coaster word.
Well, maybe both.
But in answer to the second question, the club's aims would still be to preserve historic rides, but with the caveat, but not at all costs.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, do we want to see a park closed down because they had to spend so much money preserving a ride because it was listed, and we lose everything? Or do we allow that park to unfortunately have to remove a ride so that they can make new investments and keep the crowds coming back? You've got to think that coaster enthusiasts are a tiny percentage of the attendance to a theme park. We're very passionate and we're very loyal, but to the bean counters, we are a small amount of their finance compared to the general public. And if a park is spending millions keeping an old ride running that brings no extra people to the park except us, then at some point, with my business head on, I have to say you've got to stop throwing money away. And also, when you're spending money on rides that aren't bringing people in, I do notice, particularly on some social media channels, that those rides are still slated by enthusiasts sometimes. And I'll pick on Blackpool Pleasure Beach as an example.
I'm sure Amanda won't mind.
Yeah, no. They spend in excess of £1 million a year keeping the Grand National running.
Is that how much it costs?
Wow.
Because you've got to bear in mind, it's 2 tracks. It's double the amount of a normal wooden coaster. Yeah. So they have to spend a lot of money. And you look online and enthusiasts still say, oh, that bit was too rough and this bit's too rough and it's not rideable and all these things. So they're not even vocally supporting it.
Yeah.
But I guarantee if Amanda said the ride's going, they'll all be out. So what a disgrace and she should be fired and all this sort of because they've got no idea what it's actually like. And instead of slagging it off, they should be supporting it if they want to save it.
Yeah.
And so on. So Now, I didn't pick on the Grand National in particular there because I know something. It's just that's one ride that I see a lot of comments about.
And it's a ride that even this year got attention for this very reason. There was a story that went around the press, and I can't remember which way round it was, if it was someone trying to list it or if it was someone saying, oh, they're going to destroy it, so we need to get it listed quickly. And I think both sides were fabricated from what I can tell. I don't think there was any sort of truth in the fact that Amanda was taking an axe to it. But again, people just got excited about that. Yeah,
and part of the problem is it's not just about preserving that old ride and the money. It's the insurance companies. They set the criteria for parks, because you've got to have insurance on your rides. You've got to be covered in the event of. And the insurance companies say, well, that ride is 90 years old. So that immediately to the insurance company says, oh, it's not modern standards. It's not safe as Icon would be, with all the modern technology and computers and so on. So they bump the price up even more.
Yeah.
Or to the point where they actually say, we can't even insure that.
Yeah.
I mean, the fun house, if you remember the fun house at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, what a fantastic place that was. Now, I'm of an age where if you hurt yourself in there accidentally, it was have a plaster, have a couple of a ride tickets and come back another day.
Yeah.
And you were happy with that because you accepted your own risk. Modern world, of course, the nobody accepts their own risk. It's blame everybody else for something.
Yeah.
So when I used to do an exclusive ride session in the Funhouse, and they had a ride called the Spinning Dish, it was about a 20-foot circular, highly polished dish, and you get as many people as you could piled on top of it. And on an exclusive ride session, we get way more people than normal. People sitting on top of each other, and then the controller would turn it on, and it would rotate slowly. And then it would speed up and people would be flicked off the sides and hit the crash barriers on the side. Everyone loved it. We would pick people up who'd fell over and so on, and they'd want to get back on. Whereas now, of course, immediately they fall over. How much money can I sue the park for?
Yeah.
And then the insurance companies for the park start putting the price up. And at some point, the insurance companies say, do you know what? This ride we're always getting lawsuits. We're not insuring it anymore. And that's the end of that. So had the Funhouse still been around today, or had the Funhouse not burnt down then, it probably wouldn't still be around today because they would never get insurance for it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And so some of these old rides, classic as they are, and much as I'm 100% would always.
Very famously.
You don't find 80, 90-year-old steel coasters out there.
Yeah.
And we are getting to the time where steel coasters have been around that long, nearly. But you don't find them about. Partly maintenance of a steel coaster is not so easy as wood when it comes to, if you need to replace a 10-foot piece of wooden track, it's fairly easy. 10-foot piece of steel track is not so easy because the whole thing's pretty much joined together from start to finish. So it's quite a lot of work to do. But anyway, these wooden coasters, much as I want to try and save as many as we got, because we don't have many, particularly in this country and worldwide now, at some point, the parks and the insurance companies will have to pull the plug on some of them. I mean, we've got modern ones as well. Wicker Man is a modern example, of course.
Yeah.
But if your ride is 90, 100 years old and you're spending over £1 million a year, but it's not bringing in £1 million of business,
yeah,
you are a business that has to make money. It's incredible the cost of running parks nowadays. We won't get political, but the national insurance, the contributions that employers have to pay. So every employee in a park, the park who employs them has had to pay more money just to employ them. So they've had to cut back on staff at parks all around the country. Look at the comments about Alton Towers this year. That highlights that very well there.
Yeah.
And the cost of electricity.
Yeah.
If it's costing you 30, 40, 50,000 pounds a day to run your park, because that's the amount of electricity you use, you're going to shut the park a bit earlier, or you might rotate rides and so on. And you get enthusiasts go to the park and say, "Well, if that ride wasn't running till the afternoon, or that ride wasn't running at all." But it's because all parks are struggling to stay open permanently. Not when so the odd ride closed here or there to help the park survive. I think at the moment, in where we are in the world at the moment, we have to accept, because it's better we keep a park than lose the whole park. And a prime example of losing a park is Oakwood this year.
Yeah.
Not only did we lose a wooden coaster, although it's still there at the moment doing nothing, we lost the entire park almost overnight, because the costs of running it were too much for the company that owned it. We won't talk about the company that owns it, because but at the end of the day, the reason they closed it was not bringing in the money. It was not bringing in the people and not bringing in the money. And they could have said, all right, we'll throw 20 million pounds at it and buy a fantastic new B&M coaster. But if it wasn't going to then get some return on investment, there's no point making the investment.
No. Oakwood's an interesting one, because obviously, like you said, Megaphobia is there still standing. A ride which I know that you loved and you were so pleased when the park built that ride. Is there no part of you that thinks if there was some sort of preservation order on that ride, that would be a good thing?
Well, if there was a preservation order on it, you can't force a company, a Spanish company, to keep something operating in another country. The law, our UK laws, our listed UK laws and preservation laws, that they can't tell people in other countries what to do. And at the owners would say, but the whole park's closed, so it just becomes a rotting monument. And I hate to call Megaphobia that.
Well, we never thought that would happen, did we?
Yeah, but by it not running and the park not opening and maintenance not dealing with it, it will just start to decline. It will start to just rot away. And so because it gets listed, you then say to the company in Spain, we've now got to spend £50,000 making it look good again. And they're going to say, why? It's the park's closed. And it gets, and the public aren't seeing it because it's down the hill and they can't come past the gate because now security are on the gate and so on. The only thing that would happen there is it gets saved. Somebody comes along with a lot of money, a lot of ambition, dedication, enthusiasm, and says, I'll buy it. But then we already know that the park is not even responding to offers for purchase. A consortium of Welsh businessmen got together and tried to buy it for many millions more than the Spanish company bought it for, and they didn't even respond to the emails. So it's a difficult one there, because we don't know what's happening.
No.
And I was going to say, I know I've seen lots of, because people have said to me, get Drayton Manor to buy it and move it, and so on. You can't just do that. It is the cost of dismantling a wooden coaster and moving it piece by piece to a new location and adjusting it, because it's a terrain coaster. It relies on the hills at Oakwood down to the lake. The cost of putting it on a flat ground and having to adjust the supports and make sure the stresses are okay and all the other tests that would need to go on would mean it would be easier to phone Gravity Group or GCI and say, please build us an exact clone of Megaphobia brand new, and that would probably be cheaper than moving it. So it's and why would a park in the UK want to spend a few £1 million moving a ride and promoting it's the old ride from Oakwood instead of our new unique wooden coaster? I know I've said this before, and I don't mean it in a bad way. Running a theme park is not like playing Rollercoaster Tycoon. There is a lot more than hitting a reset button or going to the sandbox and just building what you like. There's a lot more plans, and some of these things that happen are 5 to 10 years ahead in the planning.
Like, I turned 40 the other week, Andy. So I class myself as a grade listed theme park enthusiast now. When something is listed, you have to apply for it to be listed.
Yes.
So when a theme park, for example, again, I'm looking at Blackpool here, who is it that is applying it? Because surely they must know that there's going to be a cost to
Yeah.
doing that.
You can apply to have something listed that you don't
Yeah.
own.
So they can't then decline.
You know, when you want to build an extension on your house, you put a sticker up in the window that says this site, and your neighbours have a chance to complain. It's a similar process, but um, it is yeah, the pleasure beach itself would not apply for to list its own rides.
Wow. Okay, so someone's done that then.
Yes.
So someone will have applied for it. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the difficulty is then that if that's granted, then the onus goes to the pleasure beach
Right.
to comply with that. You know, because there is costs involved. Just because something's listed, that doesn't just mean you can't knock it down. If you were to buy, say you were an Art Deco fan, and you bought a house that was a listed Art Deco building, a nice 2-bedroom Art Deco building, and the Art Deco familiar by its crystal windows, the white colouring, and so on. You are now responsible as the owner to make sure it stays white. You have to paint it every year. You have to make sure the windows are not rusty, and so on. You buy that house knowing it's going to cost you quite a few £1,000s every year to comply with the listed status.
Right. Okay.
And so it doesn't just mean it can't be knocked down unless the status gets lifted. It means that you have to comply to what could be a very long list, like Noah's Ark at the pleasure beach. It has to be kept painted certain colors and so on. It doesn't make any money because, like we mentioned earlier about insurance, you can't have a walkthrough like that anymore. So it can't be opened as the walkthrough it used to be. So this Noah's Ark is sitting on top of the ticket office or the entrance to the park, doing nothing, but costs in excess of £30,000 a year. So the first £30,000 the pleasure beach takes every year in profit goes on keeping Noah's Ark sitting up there doing nothing.
Well, that's why I asked. That's why I'm just interested in that. Do people who apply for that sort of stuff know the consequences of what they're doing, or is it just the Blackpool council going, "We want that because it's important to our city, our town"? So do we just apply for it?
What I would do if I was the pleasure beach board is say, "Fine, but you're now contributing to the costs," and then I think you'd find the council back down pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's the same with towers. Like obviously, it's well, I say it's the same with towers. Obviously, it's different when you've got a grade 1 listed gardens and a grade 2 listed building that has been there since I think it was 1984. It was applied, so it's a very different kind of thing when you're doing that. But I'm just interested with the Blackpool side because of that park is if it's struggling financially, why would? If it's an enthusiast community that's gone for it, I've found it very interesting looking into it.
And I think the problem is because again, as enthusiasts, we see it as we just love those rides and we just don't want to lose those rides, but we don't understand the whole bigger picture of the cost of keeping those rides. Talking of Alton Towers, did you know that the original wooden coaster plan was through the gardens?
That's right. It was John Wardley's. John Wardley's original one.
Got turned down because the listed status through the gardens meant you can't modify them in such a way that you can have a big wooden coaster running through them.
Okay, so here's a good question then. If the Knoebels family said the Phoenix doesn't make us money anymore, is not bringing the people in anymore, something happens, some world-changing event happens where nobody wants to ride the Phoenix anymore, it's going, we're getting rid of it. Yeah. How would you feel?
Okay, it wouldn't happen.
Imagine a world where it is happening.
No, I speak to the family regularly. And that question came up about in a slightly different way, but if there was a fire,
okay,
and they said they would have that ride rebuilt as quick as they possibly could, and with Knoebels, they have a problem with rain. As we're doing here, but there is a creek that runs through the middle of Knoebels, and sometimes there's flash floods. and it can put the whole park 4 or 5 feet underwater, as high as the carousel horses and so on.
Oh my God.
And it's muddy water.
Oh.
And it's disgusting. I can't think if I've got a video of it on my YouTube channel. But anyway, if have a look, I might have Knoble's flood. But it's when the water level drops down, everybody who works there and the locals, people who just love the park, come out with brushes, brooms, cloths, and they get that park spick and span instantly. And that is what would happen with the Phoenix. They would have it rebuilt, or the destroyed elements rebuilt so quickly that for us who maybe not going to the park every week, we wouldn't have even, if we didn't know that it had happened, we probably wouldn't have even known it had happened. So I appreciate your hypothetical question, but it's not going to happen.
But if it was a case of we get rid of it because it's not protected, or we protect it but it's going to cost us millions, which option would you rather?
It's such a difficult question because
I know it is, and it is a purely. I'm just thinking that's an attraction that you're super passionate about, and I just wonder if some enthusiasts are as passionate about some of these rides in the UK as you are about that. And I'm trying to get in their heads when they're doing, well, we must do whatever we can to protect this attraction.
Okay, then if the Phoenix had to go for whatever reason, it would be devastating. However, I would be eternally grateful that they brought it to us and that I'd managed to ride it. I won't tell you how many times because it's well into 4 figures, but I would be grateful I've got those memories, because you could turn it round and this is a horrible scenario to turn it round to. Let's just say I had an accident, broke my back, and was never allowed to ride again. It's the same, and the ending is the same. I don't get to ride the Phoenix anymore. So, but I still have those memories that when I was able to, I did. You know, we mentioned the Funhouse. I'm really lucky. I had some fantastic sessions in the Funhouse. I rented it many times for club events. It was phenomenal, and I would love to go back and have those days. But that's not going to happen anymore because the world has changed, but the people in the world have changed. They're not quite so. When I say tough, I don't mean it in derogatory, but
not so robust.
Robust. That's a good word. Yeah, they're not so robust now, and you know, whereas I might have got a bloody nose in there in the past because something happened. That was a quick tissue wipe it, wait for it to stop, and then carry on. I would not be down at A&E making sure I got a doctor write a brilliant report that I could then sue the park for, which is what unfortunately happens nowadays worldwide, not just here. It's worldwide. And that's where it causes the park's problems, because they have to be insured for these crazy amounts that people sue for.
We've talked about the Pleasure Beach quite a lot, probably because it's the most famous park in the country with the most historical rides. So I don't want to feel like we're just talking about the Pleasure Beach, but just by definition, it is where a lot of these attractions sit. What about the River Caves? So this is an attraction that is loved. It's got a historical marker on it already. Obviously, it's been shut for the last few years. Now, my instinct is they're not just keeping it shut for the fun of it. There is clearly something going on that is very expensive to sort out, because otherwise it would have been reopened. Is it time that we just lose that attraction, as historical as it is, because it's going to cost the park too much to get it reopened? And is the River Caves an attraction that's ever going to draw the public in?
In the last part, the River Caves is not going, that's not the headliner attraction. The Pleasure Beach, of course, people go on it because it happens to be there. It's also prime location. When you walk from Grand National end of park to Icon, big one end of park, you go past it, and if you've got your wristband, you think, I'll have a go at that. The problem with the River Caves, the recent problems with the River Caves, it's very old, very, very old. The company that built that is long gone. Parts that were required to fix it are not existent anymore. The company that made them's gone. So the Pleasure Beach had to find a company that could make bespoke parts for that ride. You can't just go into a company and say, build me a part for this amusement ride, because the licensing agreements and the insurance mean that it has to almost be a specially endorsed part.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just buy a wheel to put on a roller coaster. It has to be an authorized producer of that wheel type thing. And that's where the river caves were stuck. The maintenance, the parts they needed, were not available.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've had to find. So the plan is to reopen that, and so on. And it's a chance for them to give it a spruce up inside while they're doing that as well. And would anyone listening to this honestly say, I've boycotted the Pleasure Beach because they closed for a temporary period the river caves? No.
Yeah.
So when it comes back, bonus.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, and it is one of those rides which has got nostalgia around it. It's a ride that when it's open, I always go on it at the Pleasure Beach because, yeah, like you say, it's in the wristband. If I was still doing individual tickets, would I use my tickets on it? Probably not. But is it a great loss to the theme park industry if it were never to reopen, or with a Victus being built literally alongside it? Yeah. Is that the future of the Pleasure Beach? It's big attractions that are going to get attention and are a focal point from outside of the Pleasure Beach that make people go, wow, I've got to get in there.
Mm. And that when you sort of hit the nail on the head there about Invictus and thing. You mentioned you're 40 now. I'm almost 60. We are the not literally, but we're the dying breed.
Good.
Wow. Okay. That's unexpected.
But the audience is younger than us, and they want is if you've got 4 or 5 15 to 20-year-olds. Let's go to the Pleasure Beach. What should we do? River caves. Let's go for it. No. Invictus, let's go and do it. Yes, that is the draw, and that's what the parks are having to look at, is what is going to bring the people in. The Pleasure Beach again, the carousel, traditional carousel, it's gone this year.
Mm-hmm.
But because the Pleasure Beach has the barcoded, the QR coded system for rides, at any moment of the day they can see how many people are on rides, how many people have gone in that day, and so on. They know because the data. If nobody is riding the carousel, even though it's there, and it's taking 2 members of staff, which costs this much money, and the electricity it costs to run it, and so on, at some point you've got to say, well, we're not a museum. What we don't sell that to a specific traditional museum, like the one near Tamworth or the one in Norfolk, where people go there specifically because they want those old rides. So it will do much better there, but it's also preserving it. I know you can't just move the river caves, but carousels, carousels and things like that, and skids and those type of rides, you can move, and they are then preserved because it's in the interest of that historic fun fair attraction to keep them running tip top.
Yeah, is it not part of the charm of an amusement park though, where you have these older, more classic rides like the carousel that anyone can go on alongside big modern machines? If we just go, well, then no one's riding those, no one's interested in those anymore, do we lose some of the joy of what it is to go to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. I mean, part of the thrill of a park is the mixture of the old and the new. I would still argue, if we're talking Pleasure Beach, of course they've got lots of old as well as new, so they're pretty lucky in that. A park like Alton Towers, it didn't become a theme park until 1980. So historically, it hasn't got many traditional old rides. I mean, the Corkscrew was there in 1980, and that's now gone.
What is the oldest ride at Alton Towers at the moment?
Because the Corkscrew
was the Blade, and then that's gone as well.
Blade. They had a Cinema 360.
Could be the Rapids.
Rapids or the
Mine
Train.
Like mid-80s. I would think probably at the minute.
That's nuts.
Mine train was 92.
Are the Rapids the oldest ride at Alton Towers?
I'm just thinking off the top of my head now, yeah. Because it was the Blade, and then obviously that's now gone. So, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so probably the Rapids is now, yeah.
They have got the historical marker on them.
And that's what I was thinking about, like Nemesis, with there was people discussing when they were retracking Nemesis, that whole idea of, would you rather have the money spent on something brand new or not get a brand new roller coaster but have Nemesis for another 30 years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pleased it was it is an to quote another coaster name, it is an icon of a ride. It is the ride that put Alton Towers on the map worldwide. Brit-wise, or UK-wide, we all knew Corkscrew, but your average American is not fussed about Corkscrew when at the same time they had 7 looping versions and so on.
Yeah.
But Nemesis just took it to a new level because it said, look, you've got your B&M Batman clones everywhere, but we've taken the terrain here and we put it underground partly, and we've got blood flowing down the walls around it and stuff, and we've just enhanced it, so it just had something, and it did mean that Americans, enthusiasts, did want to come over and check it, because no one's going to fly to Alton Towers to get the Corkscrew tick back in the 90s, but they would to come and get the Nemesis tick. It did. So it's good that it's been saved. It was also cost wise, they spent a few million getting the retracking done, but to put a new ride in would have cost 3 times as much. And a lot of running parks, of course, completely goes back to costs.
Yeah.
The Alton Towers is fortunate in that it is owned by Merlin. There is a lot of financial backing there. I know they've not done very well this year. They posted some big losses and so on, and they are addressing that with various things. But the Pleasure Beach is still, and fortunately, family owned. They do not have an endless pot of money and lots of backers in the Middle East who want to give them lots of money to do things. One of the reasons the parks are in the Middle East, I don't want to say doing well, because they're not doing well, but one of the reasons they keep investing is because nobody cares about losses there. They have so much money. The new Disneyland Abu Dhabi. When Disney were asked to do it, and the Middle East companies were discussing it with them, Disney said, "What's our budget?" And they said, "Don't worry about it. Just build what you need to." They don't have a problem like that.
That's crazy.
So if you want your park to have something, and the government there or the major companies behind it, you'll get it. The Pleasure Beach, particularly, they have to sit down and think, can we afford this? And if we do spend £7 million on a ride, are we likely to get that back at some point? And not in 50 years' time, but in the next 2 or 3 years. Is it going to bring crowds in? We're slightly different here when it's a small family-run park than a corporate park or a Middle Eastern park where money's not a problem.
Looking at another historical ride, this one, I think this is actually listed, the Scenic Railway in Margate.
Yes,
is that right? So it is listed, and it's currently closed. Are these two things linked? If it wasn't listed, do you think there's any chance it would reopen? Now that it is listed, do you think there's any chance it's going to reopen?
I mean, Margate, it was great that it got saved, but the park has sort of moved on to a concert venue now. That's its priority now. It's a concert venue with a few rides. And if you look at Glastonbury or any of these festivals, when you see the long shot, there's always at the back of the crowd, there's always a booster and a waltzer and things like that. and Margate's done it the other way round, haven't they? They've got the rides in, so now let's bring the bands in. So they've done it the other way round. The reason I smiled when you mentioned the Scenic Railway is because it's not one single original piece left.
Right.
Every single piece of wood has been replaced, and so on. So you're not looking. Although we're going, it's a 1920s coaster. It's not really.
It's
just been there in that form since 1920 because so much of it's been replaced. There's nothing original left on it, hardly. So that's why I smile, because we're not when you sit on it and go around it, you're not really riding a 1920s coaster. You're riding a 1920s design.
Do you think it will reopen?
Well, I'm hoping it will. I mean, I can't say much about because of what the reason that it got closed was because there was a strange occurrence that ripped up some of the underside of the tracks, which was very strange. So the investigation, once they sort out what caused all that and make sure it doesn't happen again, then the repairs aren't millions.
Okay.
So it's just time. And if you're the park owner there, well, I've got our listed ride, but fortunately at the moment it's closed because something happened. But in the meantime, we'll put on Bad Manners or some tribute act or whatever and make some money as opposed to spend some money. So
I'm not sure they make that much money putting on Bad Manners. I don't know. Maybe there's a big fan base I'm unaware of. Okay, look, I'm gonna wrap this up soon. I think we've had a really good chat on this. I just want to take it back to Blackpool to just finish off because, like we said, it is the park which has got the most historical attractions. It's the most famous in the country for it. And you kind of mentioned this at the start when you were talking about the Grand National. Is part of this on us as enthusiasts? So you mentioned with Nemesis, everyone was excited to come and ride it because it was hyped up and it sounded awesome. Are we not hyping up attractions or championing attractions like the Grand National enough? And yes, there will be enthusiasts who say it's rough, but to save it, should we be saying this is a must-ride attraction that everyone should be coming to experience at least once?
One analogy, and I can't remember if I've said this before, but you buy a car, you've got your car that you got when you passed your driving test, and it's an old Ford Fiesta, and it cost you £3,000, which was a lot of money at the time. And every year you have to pay to have it serviced, which costs you £200 or £300. You could pay your road tax, which is £200 or £300, and so on. And it has to be MOT'd, £60. And every time it goes to the MOT, there's something new needs sorting on it. And here we are now, 20 odd years down the line, and it's still your car. It's your first car. I still love it. I passed my test in it. I'm so passionate about my car and so on. And then the insurance company said, well, because it's old hat now and it doesn't have ABS braking and airbags and so on, the cost to insure that car now is £10,000 a year. And the law says that you've got to put this particular new braking system on it to make it modern. And that's going to cost you £3,000. And the road tax for it is now going to be £600 and so on. At some point, you're going to say, I can't afford this anymore. I'm going to buy a new car that won't need all those restrictions, all those additions, modifications, and the insurance is only £600. And that's, I think, where some parks are going to be in the future. Mm-hmm. You cannot keep throwing millions at a ride that isn't bringing people in when you could spend that money on a brand new ride that might save a park.
Yeah. It's a really difficult conversation to have, especially with some of these, right? And I know an attraction like the Grand National means an awful lot to you. You've got a train on it, for goodness sake. Yeah. And I also know how strongly you feel about RMC and RMC redoing wooden coasters. If it came to it, would you rather see that attraction just gone and, like you say, have the memories of it than it be turned into some sort of hybrid?
I don't object to it being modified by Gravity Group or GCI.
Okay. Okay.
Because
This is all hypothetical, by the way. We're not saying any of this is ever going to happen. This is just us like living out our sort of thoughts.
Let's throw a random figure at you then. Because it's two lanes, so the cost of conversion is twice as much. And GCI or Gravity Group or Great Coasters come along and they go, well, we can do this. We can make it up to today's standards, and keep the tradition in. So no inversions and so on. Just make it easy to maintain and so on. But it's going to cost you $10 million.
Yeah.
And then they say, or we could build something else that's modern, exciting, be new, would get some attention from the media and the public. And that's $8 million. You own the park. You want the public coming. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I've made that up. So please.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And it's
cool.
really interesting. Yeah. It's an interesting point.
And that's, as I say, that's what I think some parks, that they're some of the dilemmas they're going to have to face in the future, because at some point, we eventually get rid, and I hate to call it old things, but in your house, you get rid of your old telly, you get rid of your old microwave and so on. You don't modify it.
Yeah.
And much as it hurts, at some point, parks might have to do those things. Like I said earlier, they're not museums. There are traditional fairground museums that can save old usually traveling rides. But for a major coaster, if it's costing millions and it's not drawing in the crowds, at some point, as a business person who owns a park, you might have to make an unpopular decision.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's lots of people out there who aren't crying out for Loggers Leap back over Hyperia, are they?
Yeah.
Really? You lose a classic log flume, you could say the same thing, but it's like not many people. And then obviously same at Towers, we lost the flume for Wickerman. But I don't think there are many people out there who are going, well, I'd rather have the flume back than that wooden coaster.
The one thing I would say is, as I've been really advocating this year since Oakwood, instead of going online and being negative about parks, support them, go to them, because if we don't visit parks, we are going to lose them. The Pleasure Beach, Alton Towers, Fort Park, they're only going to be there if people go there. And we have to support them instead of keep going online and going, oh, I would do this, I would do that. You can't just do those things, but you need to support them. Wicksteed is another one. Wicksteed Park, one of the oldest parks in the country. It's got a 100-year-old water ride. We need to go and support it. It's this year we went to Great Yarmouth. I took about 150 people there for a day. The park was so pleased because that's a real good boost for their attendance figures that day. We have to support all parks, particularly the family ones and the small ones, because if we don't go to them, we'll eventually lose them.
Yeah. And just to wrap it up, I suppose supporting them in a way is not trying to tell them that they know what's best to do in terms of listing their attractions, and not putting these applications in to list an attraction if you haven't been involved with the park, spoken to the park, had any sort of, and you don't have any idea about what the knock-on effect of you doing that might be. Like you say, anyone can do it, but maybe it's not something we should be involving ourselves in.
Because how would you feel if you managed to get a ride listed in a family-run park, and as a result, the park closed down because it ran out of money, having to keep up with the listed requirements? You kill the whole park for one ride.
Yeah. No. And then you can't, like you say, it's like Megaphobia. You can't ride it now anyway. You get it listed, but no one can enjoy it anyway. So it ends up being self-defeating. Andy, it's been brilliant having you on, as always. How's things with the club? Have you got any big plans for 2026? I'm sure you have.
Up and down,
Hey, we've always got to get a joke in somewhere.
We've got a big America trip next year. We're visiting 9 states, doing 15 amusement parks, one after the other.
Wow,
so that's a nice little restful holiday. And of course, we have our traditional Blackpool Bash where we support Blackpool as best we can every year. We have over 400 attendees and we have a whale of a time there. I know I'm a bit biased to Blackpool, but they really do look after us. It's nice that as enthusiasts we can support the park and not just slag it off online.
Yeah.
That's good.
And obviously, Evictus will be opening at Pleasure Beach next year. I know that you are really passionate about roller coasters, but I mean, this is going to be awesome, isn't it, for the park to have something like that?
You and I will be there because you've got to go and get wet again, haven't you? On
Valhalla.
Yeah.
No. I've
those days past now. But we're going to do some smaller events. We're going to support Wicksteed next year. We're going to have an event there. We've got the new coaster coming to Portons as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Which went up unbelievably quickly.
Completed. What? It's completed already.
I thought I'd seen an AI picture of it. That is real. They've actually put it up. I mean, it is quite. It is a Meccano kit, that one though. You can put them up and down quite quick, but they have done it very well. Obviously, the time now will be the theming around it and the queue line, that sort of thing. But the actual ride structure and track was phenomenally quick. I'm looking at also Southend as well. Support Southend, another family park, and so on. And we'll still do it. We always do Drayton Manor because it was a family park until recently, of course. But but it still feels like a family park. It doesn't feel corporate. So we still go there. We have as much fun as we've always had there, and we'll support Merlin if they're if they're a little bit easier to deal with than they were initially.
Look, I think we all know. we all we love the parks, but it is sometimes. So I mean, I've tried many times to get someone from Merlin on this podcast, but I will keep trying. Andy, it's been, like I said, brilliant having you on. Always appreciating your input and your experience of parks, not just here but around the world. And I'm sure we will catch up again in 2026.
Yes, and please, everybody listening, get out there, support all your local parks. If we don't go to them, we'll lose them. So do what you can, visit them and enjoy them and support them all.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the message. If you've got any thoughts on today's episode, by the way, like I said, drop me a message. You can find me online, on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever. You can let me know what you think or leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. I always say this, but it is more important right now because we are going to be taking a little break over Christmas. So if you're not subscribed, you won't know when we come back. So subscribe and then you'll get a notification whenever we put out a new episode. For now, though, we've been Parkcast.
The UK's original theme park podcast.